A young girl happened to find a turtle, when suddenly, a flower pot fell from the rooftop above. It was falling so fast that she had no time to react. But in a flash, she found herself suddenly transported to safety. Before she could make sense of it all, she watched in amazement as the flower pot fell once more, crashing right where she had been standing moments ago. Could this mysterious turtle actually turn back time? Back home, she couldn't stop thinking about the strange events of the day, when suddenly, a cockroach darted out from beneath her feet. In that split second, Wei found herself teleported to the hair salon. Her bangs that were cut off just yesterday had magically grown back. She had always hated how that hairstyle looked on her, right when she was about to warn the hairdresser to leave her bangs alone. But before she could stop it, she cried out no. But it was too late, her bangs were already gone. Yet this strange experience led her to a revelation. Somehow, she had acquired the mysterious power to traverse time and space. To put this theory to the test, she focused her mind on returning to yesterday's hair salon. Sure enough, she was transported back in time. This time, she quickly shielded her hair before the stylist could touch it. Finally, she managed to save the bangs she treasured so much. Having the power to time travel, Wei was over the moon. Since she had gone back to yesterday, she knew everything that was going to happen that day. She remembered that the teacher would call on her in class today. Last time, she had been embarrassed in front of the entire class when she couldn't answer. This time around, she made sure to prepare for that question beforehand. She eagerly raised her hand before the teacher could even call on her. She nailed the answer perfectly in just 2 minutes. The teacher was thoroughly impressed by her performance. Her classmates looked at her with admiration. Earlier in art class, while chatting with her classmates, she had accidentally knocked over and broken the plaster statue. She had felt terribly embarrassed about it ever since. This time, she quickly reached out and caught the falling plaster statue with both hands. Her lightning-quick reflexes earned her a round of applause from her impressed classmates. And to think she'd been having such bad luck yesterday. After class, I decided to wash my hands. But to my surprise, the faucet wasn't working properly. The water burst out and soaked my entire face. The girls couldn't stop laughing at how ridiculous I looked. This time around, she purposely avoided that sink. When an unsuspecting girl turned on the tap, she was instantly drenched from head to toe. Meanwhile, Miyu couldn't contain her laughter. But once wasn't enough for her. She kept traveling back in time to witness it again and again. The two girls experienced what it's like to be ridiculed. But once they'd been taught a lesson, Miyu knew when to call it quits. This one's broken, use the other one instead. Miyu's childhood friend is named Goro. His family owns a barbershop downtown, though whenever Miyu visits, his uncle never charges her. However, that evening Miyu suddenly noticed there was a fire near Goro's place. Worried, she rushed to the scene right away. My heart finally eased when I saw Goro was safe and sound. However, a massive fire broke out at the downtown power station, causing a citywide blackout. Just then, Miwa happened to notice a concert poster next to her. She recognized her senior student in the photograph. She was passionate about performing song and dance. She was quite well known as the campus beauty. By a stroke of luck, in a small stream, she discovered a fish species thought to be extinct. This groundbreaking discovery could revolutionize our understanding of evolution. The news instantly made headlines. The senior had always been naturally beautiful and charming. The publicity skyrocketed her to fame. She became an overnight sensation across the country. Miyu couldn't help but envy the senior's spotlight. Once again, Miyu decided to travel back in time. Before her senior could discover the fish, she made her way to the same stream, becoming the first to discover the prehistoric fish. Everything went exactly as planned. As soon as the news broke, reporters were lining up to interview her, though she hadn't gained as much attention as her senior. But Wei had something else in mind. She aimed to become a prophetic idol and take the world by storm. She got Goro to help her make a video, in which she made a bold prediction. She predicted that the downtown power station would catch fire that night, leading to a massive power outage across the entire city. She even specified the exact time and location. Goro dismissed her prediction with contempt. To everyone's surprise, the power station actually caught fire that night. Miyu looked completely confident, because she had known about this fire before traveling back in time. The fire was minor and fortunately caused no injuries. After the fire, Miyu's prediction video became an overnight sensation. She became a worldwide celebrity. People everywhere dubbed her the girl from the future. But only Miyu knew the truth about the fire. She had simply experienced it in her original timeline. She had truly risen to stardom. She began to feel that life was becoming more fascinating. Though Goro was unaware of Mio's ability to time travel, he firmly believed that only those who put in as much effort as Senpai could become genuine idols. She dedicates herself every day to making her dreams come true. Nothing in this world brings more joy than earning success through dedication. Mio hung her head at Goro's words. She realized she was merely filling Senpai's shoes. Watching Senpai's relentless practice, Mio couldn't help but feel inadequate. She became the talk of the school. She was the center of attention wherever she went. Underclassmen looked up to her as their role model. They all aspired to be just like her, yet she couldn't find any joy in it, because all this attention wasn't rightfully hers. That day after school, Miyu happened to run into that upperclassman. She had been pushed into the river, looking completely disheveled, all because she no longer had the same popularity as Miyu. And those who had once envied her took this chance to bully her. Witnessing this, Weiyu's guilt intensified. As Weiyu defended her senior, the students slunk away in embarrassment. The senior slowly pulled herself out of the water. She glanced at Weiyu with what seemed like gratitude, but Weiyu was overwhelmed with shame. The viral success and recognition should have been seniors. She had merely taken someone else's glory. The next day, Weiyu isolated herself at home. She couldn't bear the thought of facing her senior. She was at a loss about how to face her admiring juniors. Just then, the police showed up at her doorstep. It was about the fire she had foreseen. The police were suspicious about how she knew the exact timing of the fire. Fearing they wouldn't believe her, she kept her time-traveling ability to herself. The police suspected Mio of setting the fire, which would explain how she knew the time and place beforehand. Left with no other option, Mio decided to tell them the truth. She had the power to traverse time and space. The police accused her of making up stories. Miyu was questioned from daylight to midnight, yet the police remained skeptical of her story. Suddenly, fireworks lit up the sky outside. It hit her today was the fireworks festival. This was supposed to be her senpai's concert day, but now she had destroyed her senpai's brilliant future. Perhaps she was never meant to be an idol after all. In that moment, Miyu had an epiphany. Once more, she activated her time-traveling ability, vanished right before the police's eyes. Indeed, she rewound time, back to January 8th, the day of the ancient fish discovery. Without Miwa getting in the way, Senpai was still the first to make the discovery. History seemed to be back on its rightful track. Senpai once again hit the headlines with her discovery, became a sensation in the spotlight. As for Miwa, she chose to remain just a regular high school student. She finally learned that you can't steal someone else's moment of glory. The sweetest applause is the one earned through dedication, and I couldn't be more proud of the choice I made. Nothing has changed. But today, Miwa suddenly discovered she could travel through time. She could rewind time at will. She decided to rewrite her story and live life anew. With this cheat code for life, she turned her fate around and became unstoppable. But today, she faced a dilemma. The annual fireworks festival was just around the corner. Dressed in her best outfit, she invited 2 friends to join her. But when they got there, only one of the 2 classmates had shown up. He explained his friend couldn't make it, so it would be just the 2 of them. Despite a slight disappointment, they still enjoyed the fireworks display together. The dazzling glow illuminated their faces. A romantic atmosphere lingered in the air. They were chatting and laughing together at first, but then Goro suddenly turned to Mio with a serious expression. He confessed his feelings and asked her to be his girlfriend. Mio was taken aback by this sudden confession from her childhood friend. They've been close friends since childhood, but she never thought of him romantically. Miyu thought he was just joking, but Goro made another heartfelt confession. Her heart started racing and anxiety took over. In her panic, she accidentally triggered her time travel power. Time reversed to earlier that day, back to their first encounter. Still shaken by his earlier confession, she could barely hide her awkwardness during their next encounter. Even while shopping, she kept her distance from Goro. Goro found this behavior rather puzzling. He wanted to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Mio, but Mio kept making excuses to slip away, keeping him at arm's length. To prevent Goro from confessing his feelings, Mio even skipped watching the fireworks tonight. But what she didn't see coming was that Goro would confess his feelings on their way home. She had come back in time specifically to avoid Goro's confession. All her efforts today had been in vain once again. Left with no choice, Miyu was forced to rewind time once more, back to the time when they first met. Goro confessed his feelings directly, asking her to be his girlfriend. This time Goro didn't play by the book. Instead, he went straight for the confession. Miyu was totally caught off guard. With no other choice, she had to rewind time again, back to the previous day. Her first move was to search for their friend Shoui, who didn't show up. She asked him why he wasn't coming to tomorrow's fireworks festival, leaving just her and Goro in an awkward situation. Shoei was completely puzzled by what Miwa said, but he defensively explained that Goro had told him that the gathering had been cancelled, which is why he wasn't planning to attend. That's when Miwa finally realized that everything had been orchestrated by Goro. His intention was to create a chance for them to be alone together, as everything finally clicked into place. The following day, when they returned to the fireworks festival, she made sure to bring Shoei with her. While Goro was puzzled by Shoei's presence, he had no choice but to act like everything was normal. With the three of them there, Goro lost his opportunity to confess his feelings. They all enjoyed the fireworks display together. Meanwhile, Miwa found herself lost in thought as she watched Goro. She did have feelings for Goro. She simply wasn't prepared to start dating yet. Despite having the power to traverse time and space, when it came to something as precious as first love, she had no desire to alter the past, just to test their compatibility. So she decided to turn him down for now. After the gathering, Miwa headed to the festival alone to get some food, while Shoei and Goro waited for her beneath the glowing lanterns. Shoei had this peculiar habit of bouncing his leg whenever he ate something tasty. He was bouncing his leg so hard against the lantern stand. The entire flower lantern swayed violently. The securing ropes were already worn and damaged. Combined with his forceful stomping, the ropes snapped instantly, and the flower lantern came crashing down. The stage was left in ruins, covered in debris. By the time Miyu returned, Shoei was already critically injured from the collapse and had fallen into a deep coma. Miyu was absolutely horrified. She was torn between heartache and self-blame. If only she hadn't pressured Shoei into joining the festival, this tragedy would never come to pass. Consumed by anguish, she activated her power to traverse time once more, turning back the clock by 10 minutes. She raced against time to reach the location, crying out Shoei's name at the top of her lungs. At the last possible moment, she managed to push Shoei clear of the falling lantern. The workers spotted the frayed rope before it was too late. Thus, the tragedy was averted. Nobody would ever know of Mio's intervention. Yet there they were, finding solace in each other's presence. Goro couldn't shake off this unexplained heaviness in his heart. He had planned to confess his feelings to Mio today. Now he wasn't sure about Mio's feelings, whether she had any feelings for him at all. On the way home, Mio was worried about Goro trying to confess to her again, so she asked Shoei to walk her home instead. She knew this would probably hurt Goro's feelings, but she felt she had no other choice. While walking home, Mio spoke to Shoei about all of Goro's good qualities. They've been classmates together all the way from kindergarten to high school. Everyone says they're childhood sweethearts who grew up together. Goro has always looked after her, yet for this very reason, she doesn't want to disappoint Goro, because she really can't be sure whether these feelings are truly romantic love. Right at that moment, a large dog suddenly jumped out, startling Miyu. This reminded her of her childhood, when a stray dog had chased her and she was absolutely terrified. Goro showed up just in time to chase away the wild dogs, and managed to save her life. To this day, she remains grateful to Goro. But right as she said this, Shoei's expression suddenly turned dead serious. He pulled out a mysterious-looking cube and began altering her memories, making her believe that it was actually Shoei who had risked everything to save her. The truth was, Shoei wasn't even Miwa's friend to begin with. He had come from 100 years in the future, an era where the entire world had plunged into an ice age. Many species have gone extinct. Being scientists, he and his colleague time-traveled to the present. Their sole purpose was to research summer-blooming plants. By chance, Miyu happened to collide with him that day. The time-travel potion was lost in the jungle. With no potion, there's no way back to the future. Left with no choice, Shoei searched for a laboratory. He planned to recreate the potion with available materials. The woman he calls mother isn't his real mother. Using a Rubik's Cube, Shoei hypnotized and manipulated her memories, and became his mother. His mother told him that he could only find a laboratory at school, so he sneaked into Miyu's school, used a Rubik's Cube to hypnotize everyone, making everyone believe he had always been their classmate. But right when he finally created the time travel potion, he accidentally shattered the vial. The shattering sound drew Miyu's attention. Unaware of what happened, she entered the lab and inhaled the vapors from the potion. And that's how they gained the power to travel through time. Shoei planned to stay close to Miwa, hoping she would help him return to the future. But unexpectedly, Miwa ended up saving his life today, though he couldn't remember being struck by the paper lantern. Being from the future, he could piece together what happened from Miwa's actions. He found himself slowly falling for Miwa. That's why he used the Rubik's Cube to modify her memories, making himself the hero who chased away the stray dog. Unaware of the truth, Miwa began to develop feelings for Shoei. Little did he know what chain of events was about to unfold, leading Miwa to uncover the entire truth. A mysterious girl suddenly materializes on the street. She feels compelled to photograph any beautiful woman she encounters. When faced with rejection, she rewinds the flow of time to make another attempt at her request. She wields the power to traverse through time, capable of journeying to any moment in time to alter the course of history. Initially, her two friends were skeptical of her extraordinary powers, until they chance upon witnessing a stranger's unfortunate fall, and thus, the girl unleashed her temporal powers. She traveled back 2 minutes in time. She noticed a passerby running in their direction. She predicted to her friend that the passerby would trip right in front of them. Of course, her friend was skeptical, so she began counting down, 3, 2, 1. Just as predicted, the passerby tripped and fell. Her friends were absolutely dumbfounded. Now they finally believed what she had told them. With this power to traverse time, the girl yearned to make a real difference. She came across a young man standing on the roof terrace, looking like he had lost all will to live. Wei Yu was terrified he might jump, so she silently crept up behind him. In a split second, she yanked him back while he wasn't looking. But the young man suddenly exploded in anger, accusing her of nearly pushing him off the edge. He explained to Wei Yu that he simply enjoyed standing at heights and had no intention of jumping, because being up high made his heart race with excitement. It makes him feel alive. Back in the room, he pulled up his shirt, revealing a long scar across his chest. He introduced himself to Miyu as Nishioka. He had received a heart transplant 2 years ago. He had come face to face with death. That explained why he called today his death anniversary. Nishioka continued. After the transplant, his personality changed completely. Before, he had been terrified of heights. Now he finds himself strangely drawn to it. And every evening after 8 p.m., his heart begins to race, pounding intensely. Could this be connected to the heart's original owner? Nobody knows, as the donor's information is kept confidential. The only thing Oka knows for certain is, the heart belonged to a high school girl, who was around their age, who tragically passed away in the prime of her youth. He feels deeply grateful to her for giving him a second chance at life. That's why I want to make my life more meaningful, to make the girl watching from heaven proud, to find peace within my beating heart. Miwa was deeply touched by Nishioka's story. She suddenly felt a strong urge to meet that girl. She wondered why that girl was drawn to high places, and what caused her heart to race every night. All these mysteries filled her with curiosity. However, Shoei warned her against doing anything rash. If she were to travel through time to find that girl, it could completely alter their fate. If she survived instead of passing away, Nishioka wouldn't have been able to receive the heart transplant. The ripple effects would be beyond imagination. Miwa clarified that she had no intention of altering the past. She simply wanted to meet her in person. She was genuinely curious about who they were as a person. Miwa vanished suddenly before everyone's eyes, but she returned through time shortly after. So, turns out they weren't fond of heights, huh? By traveling through time, Miyu uncovered the truth. 2 years prior, the girl's bicycle suffered brake failure. She lost control of her speed going down a hill. She tragically crashed into a wall, losing her life. She was in her final year of high school, so close to graduation, but time stopped for her at 18 years old. She was an adorable girl who always gave her best effort. After classes each day, she would head to the library to study. It was on that fateful evening. Every time the clock struck 8:05, she would hastily gather her belongings and rush off. Miwa couldn't help but wonder where the girl was headed, so she decided to follow her. This led her to discover that the girl had cycled to a train station. A train would leave the station precisely at 8:20. The girl would stand there watching as the train departed. Her eyes were filled with longing, as though her beloved was aboard that train. Determined to solve the mystery, Miwa decided to keep following her. She found the girl stopping at a wishing tree. Once the person had gone, Weiyu rushed to examine the girl's wish tag. She was surprised to find out that the girl had fallen in love with one of her teachers. She had developed feelings for someone forbidden, yet she knew that her studies had to come first. So she decided to keep her feelings to herself, never confessing. She threw herself into her studies, working tirelessly day after day, all with the dream of entering a prestigious university. She planned to wait until after graduation, when she'd become accomplished enough to confess her feelings. Day by day, she struggled to keep her feelings in check. Each day, she silently watched him walk away, but for her, this was more than enough. After traveling back in time, Miwa found Nishioka. She told him she had found information about the girl. Miwa shared every detail of the girl's story with him. Nishioka was deeply touched by this. At last, he understood his attraction to high places, why his heart would pound every night after dark. It was the feeling of being in love, that flutter in your heart when you meet someone special. Because she never got the chance to confess her feelings before she passed away. That magical flutter in her heart every night after 8 must be from the love she's been quietly harboring all this time. Nishioka was thankful for Miwa's update. However, Miwa hadn't revealed the whole truth to Nishioka, because the person the girl loved was someone both she and Nishioka knew. It was none other than Yano, the math teacher who had arrived 2 years ago. Every evening, the girl would faithfully wait at the station. Once she spotted Yano, she would secretly trail behind him until he boarded his 8:20 train. Only then would she leave, content with her daily glimpse of him. This is an affection that must remain unspoken. Miyu suspects that Yano must be aware of this situation. It's been exactly 2 years since the girl's death. Yano transferred to this school exactly 2 years ago. Maybe this isn't just a coincidence. It seems Yano is running away from something. She tested the waters with a question, but Yano firmly maintained that he's a person of strong principles. He would never violate his professional ethics as a teacher. But he has had a female student fall for him before, hasn't he? Nothing of that sort happened at my previous school. Are you sure about that? Miwa appears to know something about it. Yano just revealed that he had noticed a girl who would frequently watch him from afar. He convinced himself he was just imagining things, so he chose not to do anything about it. Miwa feels sorry for what the girl went through, when the one she loved was right there before her, and graduation would have been the perfect chance to confess. Yet she departed this world with unfulfilled wishes. She couldn't accept it, these feelings left unspoken. Yano never knew how much she had suffered and persevered all this time. In an instant, it all came to an end. Yet her friend warned her once more, never to go back in time to save her. If she survived, the heart for transplant wouldn't exist, and Nishioka would succumb to his illness. One life would have to be sacrificed either way. Miwa's duty was to respect the course of destiny. Of course, Miu wouldn't act on her own. She simply wanted to prove that the girl had once existed. Their love story was real, but how could she prove it? After much thought, Miu finally found a way. She would go back in time to capture the girl's most beautiful moments. For photographs could freeze time, and with it, preserve their love forever. Thus, Miu once again journeyed 2 years into the past. Upon meeting her, she pretended to be from the photography club. She asked if she would model for a photography competition, but focused only on her studies. The girl declined right away. Miu refused to give up. She made multiple trips through time, trying every excuse she could think of, but the girl remained unconvinced. She even started thinking Miu was completely insane. She was at her wit's end. When she time traveled back once more, she was completely disheartened. To her surprise, the girl noticed Miu's dejected state, and even approached her to ask what was wrong. At last, this time Miu finally succeeded. They arrived at the beach together. Miwa encouraged her to open up, to reveal her true self. explained that there's no need to hold back when it comes to love. Imagine she's the one you love. Pour out all your feelings for him. Though nobody knew how Miwa figured it out. The girl went along with Miwa's suggestions, repeatedly whispering "I like you," allowed Miwa to capture the moment in photos. With each click of the shutter, Mio came to realize that love wasn't something she could capture just by wanting to. The photos didn't turn out well. She couldn't fault the girl's performance. She only blamed her own shortcomings. How could you tell she was holding back her feelings after the shoot? Mo brushed it off as merely a photographer's instinct. Asked if she wanted to try confessing her feelings to him. She said the person she liked was her teacher. She decided to wait until getting into medical school before confessing her feelings to him. Miwa was deeply impressed by her courage. Yet this would turn out to be the final day of her life. Time flew by, and once again it was 8:20. They made their way to the familiar station. Yano made his way through the crowd. She quickly followed behind him. She hurried along, worried she might miss the train. She kept going until she saw Yano step into the train car. Only then did a look of satisfaction cross her face. The train doors finally closed. She still hadn't revealed her true feelings. She watched Yano walk away, and her long-suppressed feelings finally surfaced. "I love you," but these words must remain unspoken. She locked away her love deep within her heart. Through her actions and dedication, she left behind a testament to her love. Pure happiness radiated from her eyes. In that instant, Miwa quietly captured the moment, preserving both the most beautiful and final moment of her life. Tonight will be her last night. It's all because of this bicycle with failed brakes. Miyu clutched desperately at the seat, unwilling to release her grip. Yet she felt powerless to change the other girl's destiny. Lost in these thoughts, tears began streaming down Miyu's face. The girl, oblivious to her fate, came over to comfort Miyu. She even joked that Miyu was crying as though they'd never meet again. Miyu desperately wanted to warn her about the faulty brakes. She yearned to beg her not to take the downhill path. She longed to warn her about the fatal tragedy awaiting her that night. But Nishioka's face appeared in my mind. Fate cannot be changed. Nishioka will bravely live on with that love-struck heart. In the end, Miwa chose to let go. Despite the heartache, all they could do was watch her walk away. Her silhouette disappeared into the night. Her life was forever frozen at 18. Miwa traveled back through time. Along with the proof of their love, nothing had changed at all. Nishioka still finds solace on the rooftop. Yano continues to be the dedicated teacher he's always been. As usual, he opened his locker, only to discover an envelope containing a note from Miwa. The note clearly specified, train station, 8:20 p.m. That flutter in their hearts wasn't a mistake. The girl pulled out a mysterious Rubik's Cube. All those exposed to its light had their memories rewritten. Suddenly, everyone saw the intruding girl as if she'd been their classmate for years. This was the standard trick used by time travelers arriving in this era. He concealed his true identity by altering others' memories. Yet Shoui was different. He was haunted by guilt after manipulating Mio's memories. From that day on, he never touched the cube again. With graduation just around the corner, everyone gathered for a beach party. As the party was reaching its peak, Shoei suddenly approached Mio. Before all their friends, he confessed his feelings. He wanted to spend his life with Mio. Yet Miwa couldn't bring herself to respond, for she knew that among those teasing classmates, one of them had feelings for her, her lifelong friend, Goro. They had been classmates since their kindergarten days. As a child, Goro's innocent dream was to become a pair of scissors, because he believed scissors could make Miwa look even prettier. Later, with his outstanding academic performance, Goro had the opportunity to attend a more prestigious middle school, yet he sacrificed that opportunity just to remain close to Miwa. Though Goro's passion was soccer, Miwa's heart was set on rowing. Throughout his 3 years of high school, he never touched a soccer ball. Instead, he followed Mio and joined the rowing club. He had thought countless times about confessing his feelings to Mio, but to Mio, he was nothing more than family. Today, he had to watch helplessly as the person he loved was about to be with someone else. Yet he couldn't find the courage to speak his heart. Goro desperately wished Mio would say no. But in that perfect moment, Mio said yes. Goro's heart shattered into pieces, but he was powerless to do anything. After that day, he walked through life like a hollow shell. His mind frequently wanders when he's trying to study. He starts questioning if he's not good enough. That's why he couldn't win Miyu's heart. Back at home, he pulled out the scissors from the salon. He imagined Miyu sitting there as he practiced cutting her hair. This had always been his childhood dream, to be the one whose scissors could make his beloved more beautiful. But the one he loves most is no longer his to love. How he longed to be the one styling her beautiful hair. Lang fell into a spiral of self-destruction. He told his mother he wouldn't take the college entrance exam. He had absolutely no motivation left. His father tried to talk some sense into him. However, Goro said he wanted to become a barber and take over his father's barbershop. His father flew into a rage and was ready to discipline him. But being elderly, he was no match for his son anymore. Enraged, his father yelled, "You're no son of mine!" And so, Goro decided to leave home. Along the way, he spotted a motorcycle with the keys still in it. A foolish thought suddenly popped into his head. He had always been a star student throughout his life. Everyone around him had such high hopes for his future. Maybe if he did something terrible, he could shatter all those expectations. Then he would be free to do whatever he pleased. He thought about stealing the motorcycle and riding away, but his conscience kicked in just in time. He just couldn't bring himself to be the bad guy. Meanwhile, Miyu was still floating on cloud 9 after receiving the confession. She happened to stumble upon some old childhood photos, but then she suddenly realized that in her memories, Shoei had been there throughout their childhood. They had attended the same kindergarten and middle school together. Yet now, in all the photographs, only Goro was there. Shoei had completely vanished from every single photo. And that's when the truth came to light. Shoei had been manipulating her memories all along. The girl unexpectedly gained the power to travel through time. She could rewind time whenever she wanted. This meant she only had to pay once for any meal. She would simply jump back 20 minutes in time to savor the same meal again. This way, she could enjoy endless delicious meals without ever gaining a pound. She only needs one ticket to ride the roller coasters all she wants. If she hasn't had enough after one round, she simply rewinds time and rides again until she's had enough. Their first date flew by. Miwa went to Shoei's house for dinner. She casually asked Shoei's mother why there weren't any photos from his childhood. Because in her memories, she clearly grew up alongside Shoei, but there wasn't a single photo of them together. Seeing this, Shoei quickly pulled out his Rubik's Cube. Their memories had been altered once again. They had barely managed to dodge the question about the photos. After all, he came from the future and had only known Mio for a few months. There couldn't possibly be any childhood photos together. After dinner, Mio received sudden news that her childhood friend Goro had run away from home. Despite searching everywhere, no one could find him. Mio grew increasingly concerned, so she decided to travel back one day with Shoei to prevent Goro from running away in the first place. To her utter surprise, her time-traveling powers suddenly stopped working properly. She ended up in the wrong timeline. They made multiple attempts one after another, but every attempt landed them in the wrong time and place. At one point, they even materialized right on a roller coaster. After much struggle, they finally managed to find Goro, but by then, he had already left home. Miwa had no idea what had driven Goro to leave. She tried to comfort him, telling him not to fight with his parents. Goro desperately wanted to tell her that seeing her with Shoei had left him heartbroken. But when he tried to speak, the words got stuck in his throat. To cheer Goro up, they spent the whole night going wild with him. They crossed lines they'd never dared to cross before, without a care about the consequences. Because if anything went south, Miyu could just use her time-traveling powers to fix their mess. Back when Goro was a kid, some guy had humiliated him. That memory had haunted him ever since. So tonight, armed with a baseball bat, he headed straight for that man's windows. The shattered glass? No big deal. Goro gripped the stick firmly in his hands. But in the end, he couldn't bring himself to do it. His innate goodness stirred within him once more. He realized he could never truly be a bad person. There's no point in doing something like this, Goro explained to them. Since he was young, his family had always had high expectations of him. Everyone, his parents, his friends, always told him how exceptional he was. Yet all this excellence hadn't brought him the happiness he truly desired. The only thing he remembered from his childhood dreams was wanting to become scissors. I've lost all motivation to take the college entrance exam. That's what led to the fight with my parents. Miwa had no idea that Goro wanted to become a hairdresser. He only wanted to be able to style her beautiful hair. Yet Miwa chose Shoei instead. Goro was devastated by this rejection, leading him to lose his way and give up on everything. He spent the whole night partying recklessly. The sun was about to rise. Goro wished he could freeze this moment in time, because everyone must face death eventually, but he couldn't bear to live with lifelong regret and remorse. He cried out that he had feelings for Miyu too. He had always loved her but could never bring himself to say it. When he had to watch helplessly as Shoei took her away, he was utterly heartbroken. He demanded that Shoei make Miyu happy. Goro finally poured out his true feelings. In that moment, all his pent-up emotions came flooding out. Shoei looked at him and whispered. He didn't want to go back to the future. He wanted to stay by Miyu's side forever, but his words were lost in the roar of the ocean waves. The words never reached Miwa's ears. They frolicked energetically together by the seaside. And so, Goro finally managed to let go of his burden. They would remain just friends, nothing more. Goro made his way home, head bowed in contemplation. He apologized to his parents for his rash decision to leave home. He told them he had decided not to inherit the family barbershop. Instead, he wanted to focus on his studies and prove what he was truly capable of. Shoei's mother spent a sleepless night, worried sick about her son's absence. She broke down the moment her son came back. She pleaded with him to stay by her side. Even though she isn't Shoei's biological mother, he had merely manipulated her memories to make himself her son. Yet their time together had given him a true sense of family warmth. Shoei couldn't bear to leave anymore, for he had found both a loving family and his true love in this era. Shoei's first priority was to recreate the time-traveling potion, so his companions could return to their own time, for this era was never truly their home. Space-time has its own rejection mechanism. It naturally eliminates visitors from the future. For every day they spend in this time period, their bodies age at an accelerated rate. In other words, time travelers rapidly grow old. If he stays by Wei Yu's side, he must accept the destiny of an early death. A young girl discovered a bottle of mysterious elixir. She uncapped it and took a curious sniff. In the blink of an eye, she was transported through time and space to 1 month in the past. After gaining this power, the young girl frequently traveled back in time to alter the course of history. She mended the mistakes of her past. However, today she discovered that the time-traveling potion had an expiration date. This power would fade away as time passes. The stranger identified themselves as an agent from the Time Management Bureau. They came from a world a century into the future. He revealed to her that her boyfriend, Shoei, was also a time traveler from the future. However, people from the future cannot survive in past timelines. With each passing day, their bodies age at an accelerated rate. If Yui doesn't want to watch her boyfriend wither away in this timeline, the best choice would be to let Shoei return to his future world. Of course, Miyu doesn't buy what the old man is saying. After all, in her memories, she and Shoei have shared over a decade of history together. The old man goes on to reveal that everyone from the future possesses a mind-altering cube that can manipulate anyone's memories at will. Everything she believes to be true is nothing but an artificial construct. He challenges her to recall what Shoei looked like as a child. The old man's words trigger a sudden flood of realization in Miyu. She remembers being chased by wild dogs when she was young. She had always believed it was Shoei who came to her rescue. But in her memories, young Shoei's face was completely blank. At this moment, she finally realized she had been under his hypnotic influence all along. Her savior wasn't Shoei at all, it was Goro. Miyu was utterly heartbroken. She was at a complete loss about how to face Shoei after this revelation. She had feelings for Shoei, yet he had betrayed her trust. The very next day, Miyu wasted no time confronting Shoei. Realizing his true identity had been uncovered, Shoei finally came clean with the truth. He had time-traveled here from 100 years in the future. He only came here to conduct research on plants. However, he lost his time travel potion during his work. He planned to use spare materials to recreate the potion and return to the future. But then Miyu unexpectedly burst into his laboratory. and accidentally knocked over all the materials. This left him with no way to return. Shoei continued. He apologized for tampering with Miyu's memories, but his feelings for her were completely genuine. He no longer wanted to return to the future. He wishes to live in this era with Miwa. Go back, hurry and return to the future. In truth, Miwa has already forgiven Shoei, but if Shoei remains here, he will age and die naturally. She can't bear to watch her beloved die this way. Back at home, Miwa was still torn about what she should do. Suddenly, she tripped over a newspaper on the floor, injuring her leg. She intended to time travel back a few minutes to avoid that newspaper, but at that moment, she suddenly realized her time-traveling ability had vanished. Only then did she remember what that old man had told her. The time travel potion has expired. She's lost her ability to time travel. Shoei came to see her the following day. He reaffirmed his desire to remain in this time. Despite her heavy heart, Miwa urged him to go back to his own time. But now that the time-traveling ability was gone, there was no way to return and alter the past, while Miwa was lost in her concerns. She happened to spot the vial of time travel potion. The magic potion has completely evaporated. It's been kicked around like a toy by the children. She tentatively took a sniff. In an instant, she felt some of her powers returning. With no time to spare, Miyu instantly reversed the flow of time, back to that fateful day when she first met Shoei. But simultaneously, all her experiences started to fade away. Her friends, her beloved, all these treasured moments she held dear. She was the only one left carrying these memories. She cautiously made her way to the laboratory. Sure enough, she found Shoei hiding there. But Shoei had no memory of her anymore. She explained she was here to help him return to the 22nd century. They had once been in love. Miwa explained everything to Shoei in detail. She pulled out the cherished photo album she had kept all this time. She shared with him all the memories of their love. Yet as she spoke, she couldn't hold back her tears. She couldn't bear to let go of Xiangping, nor these precious memories they shared. But now she had no choice but to let Xiangping go. Otherwise Xiangping would surely die. Tears unexpectedly fell from Xiangping's eyes. Weiyu handed him the photo album. Xiangping prepared the potion once more and made his choice to leave. Weiyu was heartbroken, her tears flowing without end. But just then, Xiangping suddenly returned. It turned out Weiyu had written the title on the photo album. It was called Proof of Summer Love. Shoei's journey to this era was not by chance, for he possessed a special photo album that preserved the beautiful landscapes of this era. He cherished every plant from this era like a precious treasure. The album was titled Proof of Summer Love, captured by Miwa from the future. At last he understood everything was because of her. Wherever his path led, the album remained his constant companion. Through tears, Miwa confessed how much she loved him. Yet all I could say was goodbye. Xiangping eventually left after all, as if he had never existed in this world. Everything went back to the way it was. Weiyu remained just an ordinary high school student. Wulong still hadn't confessed his feelings to her. In the days that followed, Weiyu never attempted to time travel again, because only by looking ahead in life can we embrace a beautiful future. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in our next video.